only things could fall into dignified disuse, enshrining themselves into some soft corner of your residence, remaining, not waiting, but resting. Or better still, when it was time, they'd wander off like the family cat to find some peaceful place to vanish. Instead, things accumulate dust and rust and mold, and everything new is crowded by the nagging presence of the old. And so today we are having a garbage funeral. This might seem like an insane amount of overkill for throwing a few things out, but I'm a sentimentalist when it comes to objects. In the series that we're reading right now, Game Club, there's the character Suakun, who's presented as a real extreme in object appreciation. He sentimentalizes objects and empathizes with them, basically treating them like they're alive. I can really understand where he's coming from. I think it's one of the reasons that series is so, resonant and special with me. But as we're isolating ourselves these days, I've been spending a whole lot of time in my apartment, and I've been trying to clean it up bit by bit. And I've arrived at the horrible conclusion that there's a lot of stuff that just has to go, but I feel bad. Don't worry, if you're already kind of empathizing with these objects, none of them are actually sentimental. None of them really hold any sort of meaning or significance to me. But I feel like they ought to. They've given me so much service. Actually, that's a lie. A lot of them do have significance or sentimental meaning to me. But it's not things like souvenirs or letters. We're not throwing out anything like that. It's mostly like redundant tools or literal garbage or things that can't be worn anymore. You'll see what I mean. Got my trash can ready. Let's begin with this thing. I have many rice paddles. I think I have 3 other ones. I really don't need a 4th. I have all these redundant kitchen tools, and it's like, under what circumstances are all of the rice scoops going to be unavailable, and I can't like clean any of them, and I actually need to use this one, which I've literally never used. I don't know where it came from. I probably inherited it from a previous house. The idea is that it can rest without having the part that's touching food touch the counter, but I find the design of it kind of disturbing. So it's gone. Sorry. Goodbye. Here's another thing I inherited from a previous house, from roommates moving out and leaving things behind. It's a spoon. I have many things that make this redundant that I would rather use under any circumstances. It's kind of chipping, which disturbs me, and the bottom seems like it's melted a bit, which is weird. Goodbye. I don't remember ever using you. This ladle is part of a set, and again, I inherited it from roommates. It always disturbed me because it was very chipped at the base, and the other 2 had broken. The other parts of the set had broken in a way that I expected this one too. But the outer coating is chipping off, and it has a kind of a grimy industrial feel to it that I just really don't like. And again, I have many other things that do this. So goodbye. The spatula I can remember using a lot when I lived in the house that I inherited it from, but I never liked it. It always bothered me. For the same reasons, I don't like when there's 2 pieces of metal welded together like this, because it gets grimy in and around this crack. Plus, as I said, this bottom part totally broke off as it was about to for the ladle, and it really bothered me that like food and stuff could get into here, and who knows how I'd be able to clean it out. So as soon as I had other spatulas available to me, I stopped using this one. Why do I still have it? Because it was a good spatula in some ways. It did what it was meant to do. I was able to bust up food with it and take hot things out of pans, and, you know, it did its best. It's not its fault that it has these design flaws or that it broke. But goodbye. The finale of this little series is this ladle that had all the same problems. It was inadequately cleaned last time it was cleaned, evidently. but it won't be cleaned again. Instead, it will just go in the trash. Now you might think, maybe I can donate some of this stuff. I don't know, who's gonna want this? You would never see this at Goodwill or Habitat for Humanity or something. It's grimy and gross and chipped and scratched, dented. I think it's at the end of its life. So next up, landfill. This next one is really weird. Really weird. So you might remember that I love Starbursts. We've had a couple of videos on the channel where I reviewed Starburst. I don't really eat them anymore. I don't know, it's more because there isn't any good flavors anymore. They've stopped making all the flavors I really liked, and the new flavors they've introduced have been largely terrible, as you've seen in my reviews. But back in my era of greatest Starburst obsession, I would actually save all of the wrappers for the Starburst I ate. And the master collection is back at my dad's house, and I'm not going to tell you how big it is because it's terrifying. But when I moved here, I started doing the same thing. I was still eating a lot of Starburst at the time. So I was like, oh, eventually, you know, this will reunite with the master collection. At a certain point, I A, stopped eating Starburst, and B, realized the insanity of this collection, which I had been keeping up since like grade 9 or something, or maybe even grade school. So it is an absurdly huge collection, but I don't really think I need it, and it's very strange and hard to explain to people why I did this. I just was curious how many I was eating, so I thought I'd start saving them. So yeah, we'll throw them out now. There's this bag. This is all just Starburst wrappers. It might look like more than it is because it's kind of puffed up, but it's just full of Starburst wrappers. Goodbye. Goodbye. I don't know what if I expected myself to like count them or something. This is another bag full of Starburst wrappers. Goodbye, goodbye. More in here. Yes. Goodbye. Goodbye, goodbye. They're not recyclable, are they? No, they're like wax paper. We're gonna have to take the bag out of the trash. See, I really am throwing it out. It's not just a trick. This is the last bag. Goodbye. Yeah, it's a weird one. The next thing I have is this. Not too long ago, my mom and I were at an art show, and I got this print, which you've probably seen in the background a lot. It says, "Stay clever, little fox," and I quite like it. And then later, we were at a flea market or something, or a Goodwill or something along these lines, and we saw this frame, which was like perfectly the right size. So the problem, or at least in my mind it was a problem, is that the frame already contained a painting. Or not a painting, but just a print. A photograph put onto canvas by someone named Sylvia. And we cut this out, kind of unceremonially, and I think my mom might have even thrown it in the trash, but I fished it out because I felt bad. Someone had made this, probably as part of a large series, so it's not like it's one of a kind, and of course they obviously still have the original. And somebody's trying to kill themselves. I saw it go by for like one frame. It felt like one frame. It felt like watching a trigger animation or something. Yeah, so, I don't know. I don't really have a reason to feel bad for throwing this out. It's just, you know, someone made it. And now it's just going in the trash. Well, not quite yet. I actually have a use for this. So here I have a lot of pens that I gathered from around my bed because I often write in bed. And when I use up a pen, instead of just throwing it out like a normal person, I just leave it there on the floor near my bed to accumulate dust and hair and feathers from my pillows and all sorts of other gross stuff. It's tough for me to throw out a pen. You know, I wear them all down to nothing, meaning that every one of these pens has given me a lot of words, a lot of pages. Reliably, like the feeling of it against my calluses on my fingers is so familiar. But it is quite insane to have empty pens around for no reason. Again, it really reminds me of a scene in Game Club where Morishita-chan is trying to use one of Sudakun's pens, and he goes, "Oh, that's a miss. That one's no good. That's one of the empty pens that I'm just carrying around because I can't bear to throw it out." And I was like, "Oh, I do that too." So what we're going to do is see if any of these work, and this will put this thing to use. This one actually seems to work. Oh, we've got a wiener, but it looks like it's basically empty. Yeah, look at that. It's just on its dying gasps of ink. So I think we're going to throw it out regardless, because I don't like the idea of putting it back in the working pile, and then it works for like half a sentence, and then I probably just leave it lying there on the ground again. Goodbye. Let's try this one. Oh, this one actually has a decent amount of ink in it. Okay, good. That's a liver. Same with this one. All right. I'm happy. I'm happy. These are my favorite pens now. I'm buying these pretty much exclusively, the Energel Liquid Gel ink. If you're someone who writes a lot, I highly recommend it. It writes really quickly. It has like a really nice, bold ink, but it dries extremely fast, which is a rare combination. And it's almost dead. Might just be good night. Yeah. These ones I don't use so much anymore. I don't really like using blue ink. It's got some life in it. Let's see how we're holding up. This one is very, I don't know. I don't really like the thickness. They have an opaque... Why would you do that? Why would you make it opaque? I have no idea how full it is. I think we're going to get rid of it anyways, because I don't like writing with it. So under what circumstances would I write with it? What in the hell is going on? Why is everyone riding their motorcycles so loud and so fast? What kind of crazy suicide death rally is this? This one is just read out. Okay. Goodbye. This one is dying before my very eyes. Sorry. Goodbye. This one I got at some training course, I think. And it also has a highlighter. But I think the pen is RIP. Oh yeah, it's super RIP. And who highlights things? I haven't highlighted anything since like grade school. This pen has certainly seen a lot. I broke the clip thing at some point for some reason, apparently. It actually is writing pretty well though. Opaque again, why do you make it opaque? At any rate, I don't really like this pen. Now that I've used the Energel, I feel like these ones that dry very slowly and are kind of blotty are no good. Uh-oh, this shouldn't be in the mix. This pen has, I broke this clip too, which is too bad because this is like a Kantoku, the artist, after school of the 5th year. It was part of one of his DX collector's sets. The pen itself is dead, but, you know, we'll keep this as a souvenir thing. But it is broken. Will I really just save anything that has an anime girl on it? Yes. More of these are working to some extent. This one is dying right now. Yeah. I hope you work. No. Yeah, this one is gone. Okay. Well, we purged our pen pile down to 3. I think we did okay. This one was just in the mix accidentally. It should be in some sort of Kantoku collection spot or something. Now we can put this to rest as well. Did a good job, as you can see, capturing the dying gasps of those pens. Here we have a phone case for a phone I don't use anymore, and even if I still use this phone case is extremely discolored and gross. So I can remember using this one. It's like you get very used to what areas of your phone case you can kind of like manipulate a little bit, like kind of flick or kind of tug at or something. If you're the type of person whose anxiety manifests as like twitchy play, I remember I broke this, yeah, because you could kind of like bend it a little bit even with the phone inside of it, and eventually this part broke. So, you know, I pushed it to the limit. It gave me everything it had, and then the phone died, and if not for that, I probably would keep using this case and that phone, at least for a little while longer. Of course, it would be very out of date and slow these days. Here I have another phone case for another phone, I think even older. I don't even remember using this one very much, but I'm sure it did a good job. Another clear back. I always buy clear back cases because then I can just put stickers or whatever in between. Goodbye. This is a bag. Goodbye. This is the bag that my first pair of raw denim jeans came in. I'm not actually throwing out the jeans themselves, even though they're quite worn out now. After 2 years or so of continuous use, I got another pair by the same brand that is also fantastic. But I was keeping this bag for some reason. Why? Souvenir, but I have the jeans themselves. Like what am I doing? Alright, that's it for this round, except for this final boss, which is the hardest ones of all, shoes. Shoes I feel particularly attached to. They literally carry you through the world. I have lots and lots of pairs of old shoes, but I wear shoes to the point of total destruction, and I feel like it would be much more dignified to stop before they're ruined, and then I could actually kind of display them or something. But now they look kind of gross, and I'll never ever wear them again because they're destroyed. So I gotta get rid of them. Here are some Marks & Spencer shoes. They're brown. This was probably the last pair of brown shoes I wore. I used to wear brown shoes all the time before I realized how cool it was to wear black or white shoes. I remember this, that the rubber was peeling away here, and I would stand, and with one foot I would push at the rubber on this foot and try to peel it away more. Why? I don't know. But you can see the heel is gone. My shoes always wear out in the heel, like right here. I think it's because when I stand, I sometimes like will shift my weight back onto just the heel, and it kind of grinds it down. The inside heel is totally demolished too. But these put in work for me. They did a good job. Marks & Spencer. They make an okay shoe for the price, that's for sure. These were one of the first pairs of dress shoes I ever got. They're from Denver Hayes. They're basically everything I dislike in a dress shoe now. The heel is huge. Everything about the silhouette is extremely clunky. The kind of like flatness of the leather I don't like. Really not much I like about these shoes, but I got them before I really had tastes in fashion or much of anything. I remember... Actually, it's not that evident. He did a good job. But the heel has actually been glued back on. And you can see here it's split. One day my dad borrowed these shoes, and in trying to take them off, kicking them off like one foot against the other, he actually just ripped the heel right off. So this, you can tell it's coming apart again. But he did a good job making it work. It lasted quite a while. I wore these shoes to like my first interviews in university, but I never liked them. Very heavy. I hate having a heel. I'm already so tall. Why do I need my shoes to raise me up even more? It's ridiculous. These are another pair of dress shoes. I wore these to my previous office job a lot. They wore out completely through the bottom, through the back. The other shoe I think is, yeah, the other shoe you can actually just look right through. Hello. So that was bad. When it would rain, my feet would get soaked. But I was very happy with these. I like the design of them. I like that they were just all black and fairly flat and with like a very minimal silhouette. Generally just kind of what I like in a shoe. And I just kind of felt apprehensive of changing anything about kind of my costume that I wore to work. So I wore these for far too long. And then I started becoming anxious that, not that I would change to another pair of shoes and those pair of shoes would somehow meet with disapproval, which was my initial anxiety, but that was replaced by a greater anxiety that people would notice how worn out my shoes were and be like, what's up with that? So at that point I was motivated to get rid of these, but I really like these. I would maybe wear them again. The only thing I dislike is that the laces seem a little discongruently like chunky with everything else, which is a little more svelte. They're good. Polo shoes. They're fine. Goodbye. Goodbye. You did me well. Did me well. Oh man, these are even harder. So some Stan Smiths I had. I love Stan Smiths. I still have a pair of Stan Smiths that I'm wearing. Actually, two that are kind of in rotation. These ones were the first pair of Stan Smiths I got as an adult. I actually found out while I was wearing these, I went back to my dad's house once and I was looking through some stuff in the basement and I found a baby pair of Stan Smiths, only about like this big compared to these that I had when I was a baby. The same green Stan Smiths, so that was kind of cute. I probably would have kept wearing these forever had they not started falling to pieces. You can see the front is extremely grimy. There is a rock embedded into the sole here where it has worn away, and on this pair the sole is just gone in the heel. But they held up well. They took a beating and kept going. These are extremely well-made shoes, and I highly recommend them to anybody who just wants a nice, neutral, acceptable shoe. Stan Smith. So, goodbye. I was a big, big fan. Goodbye, goodbye. But these, I have like a little shoe tower in my closet, and these were all taking up spots in my shoe tower. And then I have shoes that I actually wear on whatever occasions, just scattered about on the floor. And like, why am I don't, it seems insane that I'm trying to justify it. It's such an obvious thing to do to throw out shoes that are this broken and beyond repair, but I really love these shoes. These ones, especially, I think are probably my favorite ones that we're going to throw out. I found them at a discount shoe warehouse type store for very, very cheap. They're Puma match sneakers. They have red bottoms, or it used to be red. Now it's kind of a dusty gray with lots of little pebbles. The heel is RIP. You can look right through. Hello. Hello. But I put these through a lot. I love them. I love the red bottom. I love the slightly shiny gold embossing on the sides, where it used to be gold. They did their best for me after they felt like maybe they'd already been abandoned at the discount shoe warehouse. I gave them a full and healthy life. For that I am grateful. They were a little too big for me though. So, you know. This one held up so much better than the other one. That's so strange. But you can see here the heel is giving away at that same spot. Good shoe. I would maybe get another pair like this, but there's probably other things I'd rather just have instead. It's interesting the way the heel wears down here. That this used to say match, and now it just kind of says ma. Alright. And then the final pair. This is the most recent pair I was wearing that has been now retired. It actually held up pretty good. There's no like holes or anything. The bottom is, of course, you can see again. I'm working my way through that heel. Like a dog with a chew toy. I'm getting there. But I like these. I don't remember what they're called, but I always thought they kind of looked like some fusion between Adidas and Reebok. I would maybe get another pair like this in another colorway or something. But the heel is really torn up, and I used to have a problem where I would just wear shoes with the comforting and the cushioning in the heel all ripped up, and it would cut up my ankle and cut up my heel and give me blisters and stuff, and I would just be like, well, whatever. Like, I'm just not really bothered by a small nagging pain like that. And then, you know, like my grandma or someone, grandma was worst case scenario, but even my mom would see me take off my shoes and notice that there was like blood on the heel. So I'm trying to do better and stop stuff like that from happening. But yeah, these were good. Oh, actually, yeah, this is, I think, why I completely stopped with these. This one was worse. They looked about equally bad, but this one is actually worse because the heel is got some holes in it, and I remember it started, you know, like getting wet when it was raining and stuff. So yeah, goodbye, goodbye. Good shoes. Okay, that's it. There's probably going to be a follow-up to this video at some point. Garbage Funeral 2, as I continue to clean through my apartment. But that was a good start. We got through it. Yeah. Now I feel better about it. Now I feel like we gave it a proper send-off. So I'm glad I did it. Bye.